Hi, everyone, and welcome to week 4. This week on day 4 of week 4, you need to have your initial discussion reply, and you will also need on day 7 2 peer replies to the discussion post, as well as on day 7, you'll need to have the group leader list and your proposed problems submitted. So let's take a look. Now I'm going to need to read some of my screens here because I have multiple things that I want to cover. So first of all, for the discussion question, again, it needs to be thoroughly responded to. So you're going to want to go through and read the required materials before you start to answer any of this. So there are 3 bullet points in the week 4 discussion. You'll see the very first one talks about for the innovation that affects the operations of a business. And here you're going to select change model that you would use for the implementation and discuss your reasons for that selection. So the change models will be listed there. You have, the 4 different ones, the Cotter-Lewin, ADKAR, and the Kubler-Ross. You're going to choose one of those models and then explain your reasons for that selection. So that's the first bullet. Now in the next bullet, it'll also be a new paragraph there. So you want to start again, and then here is discuss the importance of communication throughout the change management process. So make sure that you start with another paragraph. You can use a subheader if you want. It could say importance of communication or something like that. And then the third bullet would be another new paragraph, and this one is considering the concepts of innovation risks and its relation to the size of the organization. And then you also need to identify and discuss the similarities and differences of managing the failure and risk associated with innovation in a large versus a small. So you may need to have a couple paragraphs here and then give them a title so I know what I'm reading as I go through. But for sure, you're going to need to have 3 paragraphs and possibly even more. So take a look and see how you're going to break these up, but you want to make sure that they have subheadings again, so when I'm grading it, I'm sure that you're not missing anything here. It also shows that for the initial discussion response, you do need to support with at least 2 of the weekly materials plus 1 external reference that you're going to research on your own. So you're going to need to have at least 3 different ones, 2 from our materials, 1 that you have researched. Now keep in mind that this is a research-based class. That means that everything needs to be researched and thoroughly cited in text as well as referenced. Okay? Then on Sunday, by Sunday I should say, you need to have 2 peer responses. In each of those responses, you need to be very thorough and supply 1 source per reply. They do need to be 1 different outside source, or it could even be from our materials, but it cannot be the same source for both of your peer replies. They must be different. I want to call your attention to the rubric. Make sure that when you're completing all of your work, whether it's a discussion, a journal, an activity, whatever it is, that you're always looking at the rubric as well, because I've noticed that sometimes when the developers put the course together, they have the directions listed and then the rubric, and sometimes there's things that you're going to be graded on in the rubric that weren't exactly mentioned in the directions. So I want to call that out to your attention to make sure that you're always reading the rubric. And you want to look under the exemplary section so that you're making sure you get all of your points. So to get your 50 points for criteria in part 1 here, it says you need to thoroughly answer the questions for the initial discussion response. It needs to be logical and well supported. So I'm going to use this rubric to grade, and I am looking for those things. Did you cover everything in each bullet point, and was each section supported thoroughly? Next, you're going to get 10 points. Oh, I said you're getting 50 points, but you're actually getting 30 for exemplary. I apologize. Then references in the initial discussion answer, you get 10 points if you supported your analysis with 2 of the weekly materials and 1 external. So I'm looking for 3 different reference points here. And then you'll receive 10 points for writing and mechanics, making sure that your APA citations are done correctly, you have them referenced, and that you don't have any spelling errors and that sort of thing. Okay, and then you have 25 points to reply to colleague 1, 25 points to reply to colleague or peer number 2. And again, is it an in-depth conversation? Did you use excellent writing skills in this? Your APA is done correctly. You've used a different source for each one for support. So that's what we're going to be looking for in each of those. Okay. Now I want to go over and cover the course project, right? So with the course project, we are now on part 4, which is week 4, right? And this is where you're going to submit the weekly leaders list and the initial selection of problem. So you're going to look at this. Now you can use like a memo or something like that to submit. It says create a list with a leader and a backup leader for each week. So you want to make sure going through weeks 4 and 7 that there's somebody that's in charge of that week and somebody that's backing up in case that person drops or just doesn't work or whatever the case is. There's always a backup. If you have 3 members, then 1 to 2 members will need to sign up for an additional week. So somebody may end up going 1 extra time as a leader. Okay, and it goes on as you read the directions. I don't need to read everything to you because your team is capable of that, but I just want to point out that I'm looking for a leader and a backup leader. It could be on the Word document. Memo format is suggested. So you're going to post your preference for a leader and a backup leader in the group discussion, and then this document will be completed. So if a student has not participated by day 6 of week 4, the weekly leader should assign them to be both a leader and a backup leader. You're going to make the assumption that they're going to join at some point. Be sure to define the roles and responsibilities for all team members. Be sure to include a timeline. You want to say when things are due, when you expect everyone to have them turned in so that they can be reviewed, compiled, checked for APA, and that sort of thing. It's really important, I think, to also include like a phone number and an email where you can contact each team member on this document. You are not responsible to hunt down members that are not participating. You can contact me and let me know that you haven't seen this particular individual if you'd like to do that, and then I will send out a message to them, but you do not have to hunt them down. It's not your responsibility to do that. Okay, you don't even need to contact me. I can see it in the discussions, but if you want to, you can. But like I said, you're not responsible to do any of their work or try to find them and that sort of thing. So then you can see here it says leaders' duties each week, and then the backup, it's all listed in there. You need to make sure that that's all part of your memo so that I can see who's going to be doing what and by what day. All right, and then part B of this assignment is to brainstorm and then select the problem that your team will be working on. You need to be creative and think of the needs in society. These are real world problems. What's something in the real world that you think needs to be solved and changed so that it improves the quality of life for society or people, right? And then there are some examples that you may or may not want to use. There's a reference point there for design thinking for social innovation. There's some additional readings with an infographic, and then the instructions for brainstorming and problem need selection. It gives you a timeline on how you should go about doing that, and then of course by day 7 you need to make sure that that is submitted. Okay. Also, in the directions, there is additionally a rubric. With everything, like I said, there's a rubric. I grade directly from that. So it says the criteria for 10 points under exceptional for part A, the weekly leadership and backup or breakdown. I'm looking, did you give me that? Was there a leader, a backup leader? Was it clearly stated what their roles and details are? That will get you 10 points. If you miss any of those things within that rubric, you'll get marked down. In part B for 30 points, proposed problem details. So it's excellent depth and quality in all content areas. The proposed problem and background information are clear and appropriately researched. That tells you right there that you have to have some in-text citations and reference points for 30 points. If you're missing it, you get marked down. Please pay attention to that in the rubric, because sometimes if you don't have it in there, you automatically will go down to the 0 column in the rubric. So you want to be very careful of that. Communications, how well are you communicating as far as excellent writing, mechanics, and that sort of thing? That's 10 points. And then individual participation, there's another section for that there. Okay, so I hope that these directions and videos are helping you to be more clear on what my expectations are and give you some guidelines. And I wish you all the best of luck this week.